They say sports and politics don't mix, that athletes should shut up and play. But one man shattered that lie so completely that the entire American power structure tried to destroy him. Muhammad Ali didn't just break the rules of boxing. He broke the rules of being black in America. He broke the rules of being famous. And when they came for him with everything they had, he broke them right back. Picture this nightmare. You are the heavyweight champion of the world. You have beaten every man they put in front of you. You are 25 years old, in your absolute prime, with millions of dollars waiting for you in the ring. Then the government tells you to go kill Vietnamese people you have never met for a country that treats your people like animals. You say no. They strip away everything: your title, your passport, your right to make a living. They threaten you with 5 years in prison, all because you refuse to be their weapon. That was Muhammad Ali in 1967. But here's what makes this story different from every other tale of athlete activism. Ali didn't just survive the machine that tried to crush him. He came back stronger, richer, and more beloved than ever. He proved something that terrified them to their core: that a black man could dominate America's favorite spectacle, tell America to go to hell, and still win in the end. And the way he did it changed everything about what it means to be famous and black in this country. The system thought they knew how to handle Ali when he first burst onto the scene. He was Cassius Clay then, a loudmouth kid from Louisville who won Olympic gold in 1960 and came home talking about representing America. Perfect. They loved a patriotic Negro athlete. Even when he shocked the world by beating Sonny Liston in 1964, becoming the youngest heavyweight champion in history at 22, they figured they could work with him. Sure, he was cocky. Sure, he talked too much. But he was their champion. Then he opened his mouth the day after beating Liston and announced he was a member of the Nation of Islam. Not just any Muslim, but the Nation of Islam, led by Elijah Muhammad, preaching black separatism and calling white people devils. The same kid who had won gold for America was now rejecting everything white America believed about itself. He threw away the name Cassius Clay, named after a white Kentucky slave owner, and took the name Muhammad Ali. White reporters refused to call him by his chosen name for years, but Ali didn't care. He had found something more powerful than their approval. The Nation of Islam gave Ali a framework that white America couldn't understand or control. This wasn't the respectable civil rights movement asking politely for integration. This was black nationalism saying, "We don't need your acceptance, we need our independence." Ali became the most visible face of this ideology, traveling the world as a champion while preaching racial separation. Every time he spoke, he was telling millions of black people that they didn't have to beg for white approval to have dignity. But the real danger was still coming. In February 1966, the government reclassified Ali from 1Y, unfit for military service, to 1A, eligible for the draft. They had lowered the standards for the Army intelligence test as the Vietnam War escalated, and suddenly Ali was prime meat for their war machine. When reporters asked him about fighting in Vietnam, Ali gave them an answer that changed everything. "I ain't got no quarrel with them Viet Cong. No Viet Cong ever called me." That one sentence connected racism at home to imperialism abroad in a way that made the entire establishment panic. Ali wasn't just refusing the fight. He was explaining why in terms that every poor black and brown person in America could understand. Why should they go kill other poor people of color on the other side of the world for a country that denied them basic human rights at home? This is exactly how they get away with it. By the way, if you want more hidden stories like this, subscribe to Black Stories Untold. Now, back to what happened next. The government's response was swift and brutal. On April 28, 1967, Ali walked into the Armed Forces Examining and Entrance Station in Houston, Texas. When they called Cassius Clay to step forward for induction, Ali refused. 3 times they called his government name. 3 times he stayed planted where he stood. Within hours, the New York State Athletic Commission suspended his boxing license. Other states followed immediately. The World Boxing Association stripped him of his heavyweight title. A federal grand jury indicted him for draft evasion, carrying a maximum sentence of 5 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. They took everything: his passport so he couldn't fight overseas, his licenses so he couldn't fight at home, his title, the thing he had worked his entire life to achieve. At 25 years old, during what should have been his athletic prime, Muhammad Ali was banned from the only profession he had ever known. The message was clear: this is what happens to black athletes who step out of line. But here's where the system made their fatal mistake. They thought taking away Ali's ability to box would break him. Instead, it gave him something even more powerful: a platform to speak truth without having to worry about protecting his career, because his career was already destroyed. Ali began touring college campuses, speaking to packed auditoriums of students who were questioning everything about America's war in Vietnam and its treatment of black people at home. Ali discovered something that no black athlete had ever proven before. Fame, real fame, could be turned into leverage against the very system that created it. He was still Muhammad Ali, former heavyweight champion of the world. People still wanted to hear what he had to say, and what he had to say was getting more dangerous by the day. He talked about the hypocrisy of being asked to fight for freedom in Vietnam, while black people couldn't vote in Mississippi. He talked about rich white men sending poor black and white boys to die for their profits. He connected racism to economic exploitation in ways that made both comfortable liberals and conservative hawks nervous. The establishment had dealt with rebellious black athletes before. They destroyed careers. They destroyed reputations. They destroyed lives. But Ali had achieved something they hadn't anticipated. He was too famous to disappear and too principled to back down. Every attempt to silence him just made him more visible. Every punishment they inflicted just proved his point about American hypocrisy. For 3.5 years, Ali was banned from boxing while his case worked through the courts. These should have been his peak earning years, his athletic prime. Instead, he was giving speeches for a few $1,000s while other heavyweights fought for millions. The government had calculated that financial pressure would eventually break him. They were wrong. Ali had learned something from the Nation of Islam that went beyond boxing, that some things were more valuable than money. The cultural landscape was shifting around Ali during his exile. The Vietnam War was becoming increasingly unpopular. The civil rights movement was radicalizing. Black power was rising. Urban rebellions were erupting in cities across America. By 1970, Ali's stance on Vietnam looked prescient rather than treasonous. His religious conviction looked principled rather than convenient. The same positions that had made him the most hated man in America were making him a hero to a new generation. When Ali finally returned to the ring in October 1970, fighting Jerry Quarry in Atlanta, something remarkable had happened. The man they had tried to destroy was more famous than ever, more beloved by Black America than ever, more respected internationally than ever. The 3 years in exile hadn't broken Muhammad Ali. They had transformed him into something far more dangerous than a champion boxer. They had made him a symbol of successful resistance against American power. But the ultimate vindication was still coming, and this is where everything connects. On June 28, 1971, the Supreme Court overturned Ali's conviction in an 8-0 decision. The government had failed to specify which grounds for conscientious objector status they were denying, making the conviction legally invalid. Ali was free. Not only free, but legally vindicated. The same government that had tried to prison him for 5 years was forced to admit they had violated his rights. 3 years later, Ali did something that should have been impossible. He reclaimed the heavyweight championship by defeating George Foreman in Zaire, Africa, in front of a global television audience. The man they had stripped of his title for refusing to serve their war machine was once again the heavyweight champion of the world. But now, he was something even more powerful. He was a champion who had beaten the United States government and lived to tell about it. This is the real reason Muhammad Ali was the most dangerous black athlete in American history. Not because of his boxing skills, though those were extraordinary. Not because of his mouth, though that was legendary. Ali was dangerous because he proved that the entire system of controlling black athletes was built on a lie. The lie that their careers depended on staying quiet. The lie that fame was a privilege that could be revoked for disobedience. The lie that athletes had no choice but to be grateful entertainers rather than autonomous human beings. Ali showed that fame could be weaponized against the very system that created it. That principled resistance could actually increase rather than decrease cultural power. That the American public, especially young Americans, were hungry for authenticity, even when that authenticity challenged everything they had been taught to believe. He transformed the relationship between sports, politics, and celebrity in ways that are still reverberating today. Every athlete who has used their platform to challenge injustice since 1967 has walked through doors that Muhammad Ali kicked open. When Colin Kaepernick took a knee during the national anthem, he was using the playbook Ali wrote. When LeBron James speaks out against police violence, he is standing on ground Ali cleared. When any black athlete today refuses to just shut up and play, they are benefiting from Ali's proof that resistance can work. But the deeper revolution Ali sparked was about class as much as race. He exposed the con game at the heart of American militarism, that poor people, disproportionately black and brown poor people, should die in rich men's wars while being told it was patriotic duty. He connected the dots between the same system that denied black people equal rights at home and the system that sent them to kill other people of color abroad. He made it impossible to separate racism from imperialism, sports from politics, entertainment from exploitation. The system learned from their failure with Ali. They got smarter about co-opting rather than destroying rebellious black athletes. They learned to channel dissent into manageable forms, to offer just enough concessions to prevent full rebellion. But they never solved the fundamental problem Ali exposed, that sufficiently famous and principled people cannot be controlled by traditional means. Muhammad Ali didn't just win fights. He won the right for black athletes to be fully human rather than grateful performers. He won the right to have opinions, to follow conscience, to refuse orders from people who didn't own them. He proved that in America, if you become famous enough and stay principled enough, you can survive even the government trying to destroy you. That's his real championship legacy. Not the 3 heavyweight titles, though those matter. Not the Olympic gold, though that was beautiful. Muhammad Ali's greatest victory was proving that fame doesn't have to mean permission to exist. It can mean leverage to resist. That being the best at what you do gives you power that transcends what any institution can take away. That a black man in America could look the entire power structure in the eye and say no, and not only survive, but thrive. They tried to erase him for refusing to be their weapon. Instead, he became something far more dangerous. An example of what happens when talent meets conviction, meets the refusal to be owned. Muhammad Ali didn't just shake up the boxing world. He shook up the whole damn system. And when the smoke cleared, he was still standing. And as always, thanks for watching. If you want more stories like this, click the video on your screen now.